Hey guys, today's video stems from a question: can laptop batteries be repaired? In most cases, the answer is yes, but definitely a fair warning before I start this one. Do not replicate anything that I'm about to do in this video unless you know exactly what you're doing, because you could cause damage to your machine, you could cause fire to the machine, or fire to the building or house that you're in. With that said, this laptop is a regular older version. I'm not sure if the camera will show you here. It's an Asus X200CA. The camera for some reason does not want to focus, but you get the point. And what happens with this laptop right now, without a charger, it does not turn on because the battery is dead. Usually it starts with one cell being bad, but at times it's more than one cell. And what we're gonna do first, let's open it up in pieces and see what's going on, because the batteries in these laptops are inside and are not exactly the easiest thing to work with. So we'll try to be patient with it and open it up. Okay, now with the keyboard out, we can see the battery right here. And the battery looks like it's held up by a few things that we will try to remove and see where we can go with that. So it seems to me that somebody has tried to do some repairs on it. And yes, those legs here, holders, were kind of broken from the plastic, but that's nothing really that determines the fate of the laptop, which in that case, it doesn't really matter. Let's take the rest out of it. And yes, the RAM is built in here. It's built in the board itself. This is the SSD drive here, looks like. These are the peripherals. This is the fan. CPU, I think, is somewhere under in the other side. Under here is the CPU and GPU chips. And now let's take the battery out and see what we are dealing with. And let me unplug the battery first. And the battery is plucked out of its place. And here is the battery controller. And it's 11.25 volts, 33 watt hours. Lithium ion, obviously. And looks like this battery has been opened before for some reason, and no, I did not open it. This is actually my first time opening this laptop, so I'm just looking inside. What was the deal before? Why did somebody open it but not do anything with it? Is there something that I'm not grasping on here? Is there something that I'm missing? Okay, and they're all marked. This is clearly someone's work. And let's see if we can make sense of what's going on here. Okay, this is just a beauty cover, nothing really important. Let me close this lid here because we are done with the internal part of it for now. And let's see what the battery has to say. Okay, yep, 1, 2. It's a 2-on-2 connection. Okay, that's actually pretty straightforward. So let me see now what we're dealing with. Let me measure the voltage across these cells first, then we will talk about it better. Okay, turn on the meter, put it on 20. To be good, these cells should be at least 3.65 each. At least in my experience, anything over 365 is good. Under 365, you might want to take the battery out and attempt to recharge it if you have a good battery charger. Otherwise, just change it, because it's not worth playing with it, because these things can get very dangerous. Now let's try this one. 353 this one. Okay, that here. 345 here. 290 here. To me, none of them seems that healthy, actually. This one is definitely the weakest, but not to say that the other ones are any better so far. And let's see if we can open this faceplate that houses the circuit board itself without breaking it. This thing is very finicky when you try to mess with these. And let's try. Okay, so it has tabs and adhesive. So come and understand that now. I'll try to push them towards the inside is there's some adhesive touching here on top, and there's taps inside. It's very interesting. Why they need to put both, that's all a bit beyond me. Okay, so let's do things one by one and make matters better, hopefully. And at this point, you could either try to recharge these three individually on the recharging station, or you can just simply build a new one, which that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to build a new pack because these are not exactly in the best shape. So I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll use them for a different project. But for now, I'm going to choose some other batteries that are in a better shape and see where we go with that. Okay, let me put this machine here. And I have some batteries here that I think might be charged and ready to go. Let me try and see if these three here will do a good job. Yes, they're recycled that I collected from other devices. And let's see if they're any good. 414, 415, 414. These are perfect. A little bit over, but that should be fine because that's something that I'm just willing to do for now, and it's not a big deal to me. Okay, so how do we do next step here is gonna be, you could either just remember the board itself. This is your positive lead, and this is the negative lead, and that's everything in between. Or otherwise, to make it kind of bulletproof, you can just have these here and copy the same exact way they are put together, which that's what we're going to do in this video, so it keeps things less confusing. As you see here, for example, you start with the first two cells that you're going to begin with. There's one that has the ending here as a negative, and the second one positive. So we're going to tap them here, leave a tail on this one here, and then we'll continue with the third one. Okay, we'll get some of the strip here and use what we need from it and spot weld them. And as you see, it's not really super hard to do. It's just a matter of being organized. Even if you're not really a technician or anything, you just follow what I would call follow the map of the other ones and make it exactly how they were. And it's kind of foolproof. There's no way you can mess it up that bad. And for example, even to cut the strip, you go approximately how these are put, and you get this much, for example, metal. I'm gonna leave a tab here in the end, so it's easy to do, and I'm gonna cut it just maybe this big. And here we go. Let me cut this piece. This is supposed to be nickel strips, and we'll do just that. Okay, so now these two, we said we're gonna put them this way, just how the original one is, and it should not be that hard. I like to cut on the positive side these corners. You can do it either way, but I'm gonna follow exactly the original to make it not contact by any chance the negative. As you see here, that was easy to do, and it prevents any heaven forbid headache later, because these things are not easy to deal with. If they go out of hand, out of control, there's not much you can do. Now let's put our machine together here, a spot welder, and do our job. Okay, make sure the leads don't touch each other. We plug one and we plug two. And the machine, yes, it's full. Gear 1. I'm gonna put gear 3. I need to reduce the seconds 0.5 because I need this to go a bit fast since this strip is quite brittle and I don't want to risk it. And the tab doesn't need to be, you don't need to apply too much force on it. Just a little bit and that's it. Boom. That's it. And I'll do one more and that's all. This one is going nowhere. And the other side now, or the negative. Okay, and I think this one is done. You can add more if you want, but you don't want to do too much. Is this thing holds just enough? You're not gonna take these batteries to war, I hope. And if you do, thanks for your service. Okay, so now these two are done. We need to put the third, as we said. Follow the map from this one here. In order to do this spot weld here, simply flip these two over, as you see here, as you see, if you put these two here, and this is going to be our third, like this, and the third will be in this position. It will be put on a negative side, because that's how we close the circuit. And we have to leave this tiny tail here too, but that's fine. We're going to do just that in a second. But first I have to insulate it so it doesn't touch this tab here. Boom. Just like that. And now I can go ahead and spot weld this one here. Let me cut a piece of strip and we should be ready to go. Now remember, we need a few more tabs to make this work. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put one tab here and one tab in the other end. So we have all, 4 connections that we need. Well, 1, 2, we need 3 and 4. These ones are going to be just tiny little tabs that we need to make. As you see, this should be more than enough. And this should be more than enough too. And one tab to go now. Make sure you don't short any of them. It is extremely important to not short them. If you short them, that's when we get in trouble. Okay, and I think the job for this machine is done for now. Okay, so all the batteries now are in a good order. As you see here, they go like this when we put them inside. But before we do that, you have to file those ears that we put out in order to solder on them. Yes, we're going to have to connect them back to the logic board in order to make them work. We put this back in here again, and how I'm going to solder them is just going to be a little bit just to not have it that abrasive as it was. And that's pretty much all. Okay, put all those tabs on the positive sides of the body so they don't touch the negative because they're too close and that makes me sweat a little bit. But now we are kind of ready to go here, but we have to do some soldering and this is not the fun part, but fortunately or not, it's a part that we have to do and we don't really have a lot of choices. Okay, and I think this may not be the greatest soldering job ever, but however, I think is the most practical soldering job I can come up with for now and for this kind of project that we have at hand. And we will try to make ourselves, give ourselves a pat in the back and see how it's gonna go. And this piece of adhesive is not good, so I'll have to cut another piece and make it work. Okay, here's the other piece. Now you should work. The tiny little cable. That's the sensor, the temperature sensor. That's how the laptop knows if the battery's overheating or too cold or whatnot. And let's see if we can put it back in the cage. That's gonna be the interesting part because it was very, very tight when I took it out. And we will have to kind of adapt a little bit here now. May not be perfect, but as long as it's functional, I'll take function over form any day. Okay, put this out here. I have to try to plug this back in where it was. The circuit is they had to make it a little bit more interesting for me. Because, as it was not interesting enough, so... Okay, looks like it's in place right now, and that's, for me, a big deal. Let me measure the 2 poles real quick. Hey, there's our multimeter. Whew, let's start from here, 415. Okay, and we have to measure from here to here, 415. And then from here to this one looks covered, but yes, that's what we need. And we're talking about 12 volts in total. Me, that is a big win. And the laptop itself calls for around that. Not exactly that, but around, let's see, right here. Where does it say? Oh, this laptop doesn't have the battery info listed. It's just the input for charging, and that is not exactly the battery. Always input for charging is higher. The battery itself calls for 11.25, and 11.25 is not the maximum, is not the minimum. It's the nominal or normal, what you would call. And let's see if we can close it. If it fits on the laptop, that's going to be a story to tell our grandchildren one day. Because I think these cells are way thicker than the older cells. I'm not sure if you can see this one on camera, but actually the new cells we put in are thicker. But we will try to adapt. It's an old used laptop, so that's not a big deal for me. I'll just put them back in and work with what I have now. It is what it is. Okay, I have a cover that I need to put in here first. I almost forgot. See how easy that is to forget things. Let's see this one here now. Okay, so the tabs are in there. They should go inside. Let's see if it fits back in place. Sometimes these things want to be too cute and don't want to fit back in. Let's see if I can make that happen. Okay, I think this is just good enough. I don't want to go too far with it and spend too much time with it, because I want to make sure it even works to begin with, because that's our main goal here. It's not to make it look cute, it's to make it function. And for that, we will have to plug it back on the laptop and see if it works. Okay, and now our contraption is done here. And let's plug it back in the laptop. This will be very interesting. And if you guys see smoke, run. That's, that's how professionals do it. So tell me about it. Okay. We are ready. This is the nervous part of the work as a technician. You never know what to expect. Sometimes you have your thoughts and opinions, how it will be, but then it comes around that, yeah, you might have been wrong. And looks like the battery is seated good. We put that screw right here first. So we are good. Okay, and in order to test if it really works, okay, after the tap screws are done, it's time to reassemble the keyboard how it was before. It goes somewhere here. Boom. And the mouse the same way. Okay, the keyboard back up how it was before. See if it closes. That happens, believe it or not. Okay, now we have to put all the screws back in how they were. And let's see if we can have some fun. Okay, the laptop is reassembled. And we have to probably plug it in for a second and see what happens. Yep, everything seems to be perfectly connected so far. Okay, so looks like it is starting. Okay, finally, yes, it works actually. Now I'm not sure how good it's gonna be or how bad, but it works. Okay, boot enabled. Security, I don't need security. Okay, restore defaults on BIOS because it didn't even start before, and now finally it's started and looks like it's working. Now what is it gonna be good for? I have no idea, but looks like it's one of those tiny laptops that I might very possibly make it into a, I don't know, Chromebook probably. So it actually works. And turn it back on so you guys can see it. And yes, I'm recording with a kind of phone, and when it turns on you will see it. As you see right here, it's actually working, and I will let it charge for a little bit and then come back to it. Okay, so I don't have a Windows on it, but I will install it in a moment. I'm just running a Hiren's boot CD right now, just to show you that the battery is in and it's charging. I'm going to try to film it from the other side if I can, and if that's something that will work. Filming with the other phone. I'm just going to show you real quick the battery. As you see right there, it says 83% available, and it is plugged in, and it's fully functional. And so yes, it is very possible to repair laptop batteries, but they're a little bit finicky, so just watch out there when you're doing this kind of work, because they're not always, the best and easiest things to do. But yeah, that was the whole thing. And with that said, I hope you learned something, and this was fun for me to make, and I hope we can make more videos in the future just like this one. And I will probably try to install BlissOS 15.8 or something like that just came out in this laptop, since this one is a touchscreen, and this would be fun to do actually. And these are very, very cheap laptops that you can find anywhere, and it's not a bad laptop to use for small stuff. And with that said, please hit like and subscribe on this video, and I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time. Bye!